Hi, my name is Keith. I'm a bard in the grade Bard of Obod. I have been studying the bardic grade now for 1 month. In 2 days now, 3 days now, I will get the second installation of the bardic grade. But how long have I been a druid or a bard? And what drew me to druidism? What drew me to druidism? Just caught that. And that would be something very simple, something magnificent. I've always been drawn to nature. In first grade, they asked what did we want to do when we grew up. I said I wanted to create a trading organization. I didn't use that. I said I wanted the world to be trading goods, not money. I never understood money. I still don't. I know it's a tool, but I'm talking about the philosophy of money. I wanted a world that traded and built houses out of mud, sticks, and branches, out of the nature that is around us, not out of the man-made creations that we have done by perverting nature into our own things. And I'm getting more philosophical now, but that's basically what I said when I was a kid. And I drew a picture of mud huts that looked sort of like a house mixed with a teepee, which if you were to find the pictures that I had back in first grade now and look at them, they would look a lot like Celtic roundhouses or pit houses from the Anglo-Saxons. So I wanted these as a child. And my first book that I ever bought with my own money was a book on trees and all the different things about trees. I just wanted to learn about nature. I loved nature, always have been studying nature. I was Christian growing up, Protestant, Presbyterian, I think specifically. I'm not actually sure to be 100%. My grandfather is what you would call a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. He was a older gentleman who he put all his money in investing, and he was very prominent and did everything that you would expect from a WASP. He adopted my mom when she was 3 years old. And so she was also raised Christian. I broke away from that path very early on, before 7, and started branching out, studying all kinds of stuff. After Wiccan and all these other different things, I've settled more along the druid path, Celtic paganism, Norse paganism, a conglomeration of all those, because let's be honest, I am a conglomeration of all of those. I did an ancestry DNA to find out more. My last name is Burns. The first mention of Burns that I can find is actually in, I think, 915 AD. Our family fought with the Battle of Ethelstead, or Ethelfled, one of those two, in 925, I think. And the name then, in that battle in 925, was already considered ancient in origins. So I took my DNA test and found out that I am mostly English, mostly Irish and Scottish and Welsh. And when I say that, I mean I am 45% Scottish and 11% Irish, and so on and so on. But I took that DNA test and I plugged it into my true ancestry. And I found out that I am mostly Danish by actual DNA rights, but Danish and Scottish, someone's walking by, Danish and Scottish. So where my family is the Border Reivers. And in that area, the Burns have existed there since basically forever. So I find that amazing. And how does that connect to druidry and bards and such like that? Whenever I look up my history, I always find that the Burns are described as a unruly, roving band of bards. Interesting. And to put this into perspective, the national poet of Scotland is named Robert Burns. The national bard of Scotland is Robert Burns. And everything I have done leads me directly to Robert Burns. My genealogy is directly in line with Robert Burns. So the national bard of Scotland is my direct ancestor by blood right. Both DNA tests and tracing my lineage all the way up my father's line. My grandfather, Robert Ernest Burns, was named after Robbie Roy. Robert Burns. Robbie Roy was named after Robert Burns, and he was my great-great-grandfather. We exist in America. I am 100% American and 100% Scottish. I've lived in the Scottish lowlands, in the Scottish border, my entire life. Not me personally, but my ancestry, from 925 all the way up until the border clearings when they chased out the unruly border reavers. My family were border reavers that got kicked out of Scotland. And my specific great-grandfather was kicked out of Scotland by the British colonials, and they actually came for him to put him in the army, and he said no. And when I say he said, his mom said no. He was about 7. So they fled to County Cork, Ireland. I think it's County Cork. I could be wrong. But they fled over to Ireland. I think it's County Cork. And they lived with family for a few years. And when the British showed up there, they captured him when he was 10. And when they put him on a man of war. And I've seen his name on the ledger for the man of war. And this is a large boat. Thousands of cannons. And as they're on this boat, his job is to man the cannons. It is one of the most deadliest jobs that the British had ever had, and only kids could do it. Millions of kids probably died on the man of war or very similar boats, because you shoot the guns that are shooting you, and the kids are the ones manning the guns. Well, he made it safely to New York, where he got off and he fled down to Virginia, where he then enlisted in what is now known as the Sons of Liberty. He enlisted in the fight against the British, where he fought the British, maintained his independence, and fought in the Revolutionary War, where he then moved down to Alabama and created a homestead. Most of my family still lives down in Alabama. I've looked to see if we've owned slaves, and some of my family has owned slaves, but not the Burns. The Burns, from what I could find, never did. Not from my specific family anyways. We were too poor. We did actually farm our own lands and made just enough to live and get by. We didn't want to deal with extreme taxation. We didn't want to deal with government control. And whenever you buy a slave, the government tells you exactly what it is you do. So I don't know if we did. I haven't found that. But that is all aside. My family would still be in Scotland today if the British didn't deem us destructive, dangerous, and hostile. And for those that don't know about the border reavers, here's a small understanding of them. Think of the gangs in Chicago. The gangs in Chicago claim a certain spot of land, and if you decide to step on their land, their gang, which is their clan, would enact violence on the other gang. And this would go on back and forth. They would steal the drugs, they would steal the girls, they would steal, and shoot at each other back and forth. This happened with border reivers. They would steal the cows and the sheep back and forth, back and forth. So gangs in America are very similar to the border reivers in Scotland in ancient times. And as you go through history and you look at the similarities, you'd understand that as time passed, my family ended up migrating down into Florida. And that is why I am where I'm at today, traveling the country, following the history, following different avenues of understanding. And where I'm at currently is South Carolina, where a lot of Scottish settlers came from England and from Scotland in the 1700s during the clearings, and got rid of a lot of the clans. The clan system almost nearly died out because of what the British did. And they all came and settled here in the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. So I've been up here experiencing what it's like to be in what would be the Highlands. And in fact, the Scottish Highlands are almost nearly identical to the Highlands here in America, because it's the same mountain ridge. 10 million years ago, the two continents were actually together in the same mountain ridge. The Appalachians are a part of Scottish Highlands, for a fun fact. But anyways, that is the reason why I am on the path that I'm on. I've been on this path for a long time. And if you guys would like informations on different things, such as different tree types, different plant types, and stuff like that, such as pines, oaks, and stuff like the 9 royal trees, or different things such as water oaks and long pines, I'll be posting more videos about that as time goes. I'm learning a lot myself, and I am a conservationist at heart. That is part of the reason why I drew upon the druid path, and that's why I'm studying in the OBOD courses. And as time goes, I think this channel will grow to be something extremely beautiful, and I have plans of traveling across the world and studying things all over the place. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy random tidbits of information and history and stuff about our beautiful green and blue world. Have a good one.